Hello, this is Storm Warden coming at you today with another video update. And today we're going to talk about the increasing severe weather opportunity today, which is at an enhanced risk. And there's a chance for strong tornadoes, strong damaging wind gusts, and large hail on today's severe weather threat. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about we're going to go through all the model guidance to see what's time frame looking for, and we're also going to talk about all the factors going into this severe weather threat as well. So, if you've been liking my weather content, please subscribe. But without further ado, we're going to get right into this. So, we have a enhanced risk for our severe weather threat today. And it's a pretty large enhanced risk that extends from Missouri down through Arkansas, down through Oklahoma, through parts of Texas. And this is going to be a pretty nasty threat today. We have a 10% hatch risk for tornadoes, which that hatch risk means that there is a chance for strong tornadoes today of the E of 3 scale or greater. We also have a 15% risk for hail extending in far north of southwest Missouri, the southwestern tip of Missouri. And then we have a 30% risk for damaging winds. Once things go linear, our damaging wind threat is going to really grow, and we could see some really strong damaging wind gusts today, anywhere from parts of Missouri through Arkansas, through eastern Oklahoma, through Texas. So again, pretty widespread event today, pretty big event. And out of all the severe weather days we've had over the weekend, this certainly bears the most dangerous, and definitely bears the most watching as we go through our day to day. So we're going to start off with the HRRR model, and I always like to start with my dew points. So we're going through our time. You can see that strong low level moisture that really pushes up into Oklahoma, to Arkansas, to the southwestern tip of Missouri. And once you maximize this with the stronger wind shear, we're looking at a pretty nasty threat for our day to day across these areas. So, and as we go through time, you're going to notice our front really starts to move through later on tonight, and then that should give away to much nicer weather. But before then, we got a lot of severe weather to worry about. So, dew points, from HRRR reach 70 degrees, 70-degree dew point. That's pretty strong low level moisture, and so you combine that with a 40 to 50 knot low level jet, and you're in a dangerous situation there. And we go through our afternoon, and notice you got a really strong low level jet of about 40 to 50 knots located over Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas. This is where your strongest wind shear is gonna lie today. And within this area, stronger wind shear, you combine that with dew points in the 70s, you're looking at a pretty nasty severe weather outbreak today. So we looked at all that. Now we can scroll on down to our severe weather tools. Starting off with our surface-based instability. How much surface-based instability will we be looking at today? So we're going through time. You can notice our instability maxes out right around 21Z, which is roughly 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And you can see our instability really starts to maximize around this time, about 2,000 joules per kilogram of instability, which is more than enough fuel to get a severe weather outbreak going today. With a combination of 40-50 knot low level jet, strong low level moisture, you're looking at a pretty significant threat of severe weather today, especially right along that Arkansas Oklahoma border, and even to the southwestern tip of Missouri. Those areas can really experience some really bad weather today. So we jump now got SRH, which is storm relative helicity. This is also another good parameter for tornadoes, and we look at this. And you can see our low level helicity really increases as we go through the evening. And in this area, stronger helicity, mainly across Arkansas, parts of eastern Oklahoma, into parts of Missouri. This is where that stronger tornado threat could also lie today. Now we drop down and look at our SIG tornado parameter, which is a parameter made up of instability, fuel, wind shear. It's a really great tool that I love to use. You can see how it really maximizes this afternoon. Right along that Oklahoma Arkansas border, there seemingly looks to be a pretty favorable spot for tornadoes today, and even in parts of Missouri, there looks to be another favorable spot for tornadoes today. And within this area of higher SIG tornado parameter, that's where that stronger tornado threat could really lie. Looking at our hodograph, this is certainly favorable for tornadoes. So lots of curvature, looping hodograph right there. It's definitely favorable for tornadoes, and you can see our supercell analogs as well supporting this threat of tornadoes and supercells today. Now, you're probably wondering, what does this look like on reflectivity? So, on reflectivity, what we're looking at is a couple things I want to note. You see these cells down here in Texas, and I'll draw it on the screen so you can see it. These cells right here, these cells are individual cells. Now, granted, they're forming pretty close together, but these are individual cells. If we get any cells today that are individualized and can remain discrete, we could be looking at a nasty tornado threat today, because an environment that's characterized by 40, 50 knot low level jet, strong instability, strong low level moisture. You combine that with supercells, and you're in a dangerous tornado environment out here in these areas. So we'll continue moving on with this reflectivity, and as we go through our day, look at some of these cells that are pushing into eastern Oklahoma, pushing into parts of Arkansas. It's going to be these cells, and I'll draw it on your screen, that could really put down a nasty tornado threat today. And I draw right here on your screen these areas right up in here. These areas right up in here, I think, had the highest localized tornado threat. I could probably draw it out a little bit smaller, but generally speaking, in that general area, that's where I expect the highest tornado threat. But I would say anywhere in this area right here could certainly experience a more localized, higher tornado threat today. And the Arctic Upper is showing supercells in this area. So if we get any individualized cells that can remain discrete in nature, looking at a pretty nasty tornado threat today. So that could certainly be an issue amongst those areas. Now, we continue to go through time, and notice things go linear towards this afternoon, evening. They go pretty linear. But I think even when things turn in, and when I say linear, I mean just a line of thunderstorms, which whenever you get a line of thunderstorms, typically the biggest threat is straight line damaging winds. But I think because we have such a strong low level jet, that even when things go linear like this, I still expect numerous tornado warnings right along this which I think will be a QLCS. And I think this will be what that we'll have numerous tornado warnings right along this line as it moves through parts of Arkansas before it weakens quite significantly as it pushes to central and eastern Arkansas. So if I had to pick areas that I think had a greater threat, I would say western Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, right along the border of Arkansas, Oklahoma, and I'll say that southwestern tip of Missouri certainly had the highest threats of severe weather today. That's where I would put a more localized higher threat. Now, looking at the NAM 3KM, which generally shows the same exact thing, has that really strong low level moisture pulling up into Oklahoma and into Arkansas and even parts of Missouri. It tries to get that higher moisture content up in there. And then we drop down and we look at our EHI, which is our Energy Helicity Index. You can see how it really maximizes into right along that Oklahoma-Arkansas border. So I really think that's going to be a good spot, a hot spot. And then you got another area over there in the southwestern tip of Missouri that could also be another hot spot. But eastern Oklahoma seems to be a pretty big hot spot for today's severe weather threat. Breaking down the hodograph, you can see there's plenty of curvature in that hodograph supporting that tornado threat. You got a few analogs down here also supporting the supercell threat today. So again, you got a lot going for this threat today, more so than all the other days. So certainly, this certainly bears watching throughout the day for potential maybe an upgrade to a moderate, maybe. This is a pretty favorable environment that I'm seeing over here in eastern Oklahoma. And usually the NAM likes to show these big linear clusters of thunderstorms. Even this model, in a way, wants to show discrete supercells and show like weird looking cells with that more hook shape. You usually don't see that from the NAM 3KM, so that also is a dangerous look from that model before things go linear. But that is a dangerous look for the NAM 3KM, which generally always shows a more linear segment. So again, today certainly bears watching. We could be looking at a nasty tornado outbreak today across these areas. So we're going to have to hope for the best. But certainly, this looks like a nasty tornado outbreak to me. Looks like things try to maximize in eastern Oklahoma, and even along that Arkansas border in western Arkansas, there looks to be another hot spot today. But generally speaking, guys, this is like a nasty threat for you guys in eastern Oklahoma. So, and in fact, I can actually get a lot closer so that you can see the cities that are probably going to be most at play today. So we drop down, look at the local view, and this is Oklahoma. And yeah, we're going through time. We get about 12, 1 o'clock. That's when our thunderstorms really start to fire. You can see just south of Oklahoma City, you got a pretty big area of thunderstorms that has developed, already showing signs of rotation. And then notice how they grow even more. You got supercells starting to develop just south of McClouster. Hopefully I said that right. Just north of Sherman, Texas, going towards Muskogee, Oklahoma. Hopefully I said that right. And look at those supercells that ARRR is really trying to develop. And also it does something very interesting. It develops this kind of arc of supercells just east of Oklahoma City, and it kind of breaks them up. So this is also dangerous. Look, going through Bartersville, Oklahoma, Tulsa. So if I had to draw an area right here where I think has the highest threat of severe weather, I would certainly say anywhere from Bartersville, Tulsa, McAllister, points east would certainly have the highest threat of tornado potential today. And even in the parts of Missouri, I don't want to forget about you guys up here. You could certainly have a nasty threat of tornadoes today. So, guys, I'm not stressed enough that you need to be weather aware today in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, because a low of a jet is screaming today, and combined with decent fuel, you're looking at a pretty nasty outbreak of tornadoes. And this is in Arkansas, and I think Fort Smith will be another big area. Maybe Fayetteville, Arkansas, Rogers. These areas will all be, impacted by this nasty tornado outbreak. But certainly, in my opinion, Eastern Oklahoma is certainly going to be the area that I think is most under the gun. But right along that border, Fort Smith, I think that's a good area as well. So, generally speaking, guys, looking at a pretty nasty tornado outbreak today. Here's another model, which is the RAP model, and it also shows that influx of very strong low level moisture combined with a 40 50 knot low level jet, maybe stronger than that. You're really going to be looking at a nasty outbreak if everything comes together like I think it will. Look at that low level jet screaming out of the south. This is going to provide ample amounts of wind shear, strong low level wind shear to really get storms moving and rotating. Probably have a lot of fast movers today as well with these storms, so you might not have a lot of lead time to get in your safe place. So please stay weather aware and heed all warnings, because fast storm motions, strong level wind shear, strong instability, this is all a recipe for disaster in these areas. So looking right along that eastern Oklahoma area, keep showing up, and click on the sounding within this area. Favorable photographs supporting tornadoes today, particularly even strong tornadoes. So overall, guys, looking at a nasty threat going back. Just to highlight this again, 30% chance for wind, 15% chance for hail, and then a 10% hatch risk for tornadoes. Would not be surprised if we get a more localized, higher area, 15% chance of tornadoes across eastern Oklahoma and parts of Arkansas. I would not be surprised. Maybe even to parts of Missouri. But again, I think further north, you may have some instability issues that may keep y'all a little bit more safe up here in Missouri. But I certainly think eastern Oklahoma is a hot spot for today. And wouldn't be surprised to see a moderate threat. This get upgraded to a moderate threat. So certainly bears watching. And then, I want to show you guys just current analysis. And you can already see instability is already trying to start rising in these areas. So overall, stay weather aware. You can see instability already starting to rise. And as we go through the day, this will only push further north, combined with a 40-50 knot low level jet. We're looking at big issues today.